city destroyed by fire. The year is 1666. London, a teeming metropolis of around 500,000 souls, is a city on the cusp. The plague, which had decimated the population just a year prior, has receded, leaving behind a fragile sense of optimism. King Charles II, restored to the throne after years of exile, is attempting to rebuild the nation's confidence, projecting an image of gaiety and strength. But beneath the veneer of royal progress, London is a tinderbox, a chaotic jumble of wooden houses crammed together along narrow, winding streets. Waste is thrown into the gutters. The air is thick with the smell of coal smoke, and the threat of fire is ever present. Little do the Londoners know, their worst fears are about to be realized in a catastrophe that will forever be etched in the city's memory. The fateful night of September 2nd begins innocently enough. Thomas Farriner, the King's baker, residing on Pudding Lane, prepares to retire for the evening. But in the early hours of the morning, a spark ignites in his oven, quickly spreading to the dry wood and flammable materials that surround it. The baker and his family narrowly escape, scrambling to safety as the flames lick at the rafters. But the fire is not contained. It leaps from house to house, fueled by a strong easterly wind that whips through the narrow streets, carrying embers far and wide. The citizens of London, roused from their sleep, emerge to find themselves facing a terrifying inferno. It seems almost impossible that the King's baker, of all people, could be the unintentional instigator of what is to come. The initial response is slow and disorganized. The Lord Mayor, Sir Thomas Bloodworth, notoriously indecisive, dismisses the blaze as a minor inconvenience, famously declaring, "A woman might piss it out." His complacency proves disastrous. By the time he realizes the severity of the situation, the fire has already gained an uncontrollable foothold. Buckets of water are futile against the roaring flames, and the primitive firefighting equipment of the time is woefully inadequate. Desperate attempts are made to pull down houses to create fire breaks, but the narrow streets and closely packed buildings render these efforts largely ineffective. Panic sets in, and the streets become clogged with people trying to flee. Laden with their most prized possessions, rumors begin to circulate almost as quickly as the fire itself. Whispers of arson, of foreign plots, and of divine retribution fill the air. Suspicion falls upon the Dutch, England's rivals in the ongoing Anglo-Dutch War. Others point the finger at Catholics, still viewed with suspicion by many in the largely Protestant city. The chaos and fear create a fertile ground for conspiracy theories. Some even claim to have seen mysterious figures throwing fireballs into houses, fueling the paranoia and adding to the sense of impending doom. The intensity of the fire is beyond anything Londoners have ever witnessed, and it breeds a climate of mistrust and accusation. As the fire rages, Samuel Pepys, a prominent naval administrator and diarist, provides a vivid account of the unfolding disaster. His diary entries offer a first-hand glimpse into the terror and confusion that gripped London. He describes the river choked with boats laden with fleeing citizens and their belongings, the sky ablaze with flames, and the air filled with the deafening roar of the fire and the anguished cries of the people. Pepys's accounts highlight the sheer scale of the devastation and the helplessness of those caught in its path. He also raises questions about the authorities' response. suggesting that their inaction and indecision contributed to the magnitude of the tragedy. The fire continues to burn for 4 long days and nights. It consumes everything in its path, devouring houses, churches, and public buildings alike. Iconic landmarks, including St. Paul's Cathedral, are reduced to smoldering ruins. The heat is so intense that it melts the lead on the roofs and cracks the stonework of the most imposing structures. The once proud city is transformed into a desolate wasteland of ash and rubble. Amidst the destruction, whispers emerge of a coordinated effort to accelerate the fire. Witnesses claim to have seen individuals deliberately spreading the flames, their motives shrouded in mystery. Could the disaster have been deliberately exacerbated? Or was it simply a tragic accident spiraling out of control? One name begins to surface repeatedly in the rumors: Robert Hubert, a French watchmaker. He confesses to starting the fire in Farriner's bakery, claiming to be an agent of the Pope. His confession, however, is riddled with inconsistencies. He provides details about the bakery that are demonstrably false, and his account of how he ignited the fire seems improbable. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, and amid the anti-Catholic fervor gripping the city, Hubert is convicted and hanged. His execution, while seemingly providing closure, leaves lingering doubts. Was he a genuine arsonist, a scapegoat, or simply a madman seeking notoriety? The execution of Robert Hubert fails to quell the rumors of a wider conspiracy. Some historians suggest that the fire may have been deliberately started as a means of clearing the slums and paving the way for a more modern city. Others speculate that it was a political act intended to destabilize the government or settle old scores. While concrete evidence remains elusive, the sheer scale and intensity of the fire, coupled with the suspicious circumstances surrounding its spread, continue to fuel speculation and intrigue. The possibility of a hidden agenda lurking beneath the surface of the tragedy cannot be entirely dismissed. As the fire begins to subside, the focus shifts to rebuilding the city. King Charles II commissions Sir Christopher Wren to develop a plan for a grand new London, with wide streets, impressive public buildings, and improved sanitation. Wren's vision is ambitious, but the practicalities of land ownership and the need for swift reconstruction mean that many of his grand designs are never realized. Nevertheless, London rises from the ashes, transformed by the experience. The rebuilding effort brings new opportunities, but also new challenges. As the city grapples with the social and economic consequences of the disaster. However, the Great Fire also presented a unique opportunity, one seized upon by some with ruthless efficiency. Land ownership records, meticulously kept in the destroyed buildings, were now gone. This allowed unscrupulous individuals to lay claim to land that was not rightfully theirs, dispossessing vulnerable citizens and further enriching themselves amidst the devastation. While Wren's designs aimed for a more equitable and planned city, the reality on the ground was often one of exploitation and opportunism, highlighting a darker side to London's resilience. The investigation into the Great Fire is officially closed with the execution of Robert Hubert, but the nagging inconsistencies in his testimony, the unanswered questions about the fire's rapid spread, and the persistent rumors of conspiracy continue to haunt the historical record. The lack of a definitive explanation allows for endless speculation, fuels the enduring fascination with this pivotal event in London's history. The official narrative, while convenient, fails to fully address the complexities and uncertainties surrounding the cause of the fire. In the aftermath of the fire, a monument is erected near Pudding Lane to commemorate the event. The monument to the Great Fire of London stands as a towering reminder of the city's resilience and the devastating power of fire, but it also serves as a constant source of debate and controversy. For centuries, it bore an inscription blaming Catholics for the fire, reflecting the anti-Catholic sentiment of the time. The inscription was eventually removed, but the monument remains a symbol of the divisive legacy of the fire and the unresolved questions surrounding its origins. The Great Fire of London fundamentally reshaped the city, not only physically, but also socially and culturally. The rebuilding effort led to the introduction of new building regulations aimed at preventing future fires. Stone and brick gradually replaced wood as the primary building materials, and wider streets were introduced to improve access and reduce the risk of fire spreading. The fire also prompted significant reforms in firefighting techniques and the establishment of the first organized fire brigades. London emerged from the ashes a more resilient and better prepared city. The fire, while a catastrophe, also had unintended consequences. The destruction of the slums helped to improve public health and sanitation, reducing the risk of disease outbreaks. The rebuilding effort created employment opportunities and stimulated the economy. And the fire served as a catalyst for urban planning and development, leading to a more modern and organized city. Ironically, the Great Fire, despite its devastating impact, may have ultimately contributed to London's long-term prosperity and resilience. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Great Fire of London is the sense of mystery and intrigue that surrounds it. The unanswered questions, the conflicting accounts, and the persistent rumors of conspiracy continue to captivate historians and the public alike. The fire serves as a reminder of the fragility of civilization and the unpredictable nature of history. It is a story of courage and resilience, but also of fear, suspicion, and the darker aspects of human nature. And so, the Great Fire of London remains an enigma, a tragedy born of accident, exacerbated by human error, and perhaps even deliberately manipulated for hidden purposes. A city destroyed and rebuilt, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions that continue to burn brightly in the collective memory. Was it simply a terrible accident, or a carefully orchestrated act of destruction? The truth, like the embers of the fire itself, remains buried beneath the ashes of history, forever shrouded in mystery.